Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us,
Smoke it if you've got it.
And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
Tonight, on a special post-Halloween edition of Collateral Gaming bonus round, we are talking the Resident Evil 1 remake. So stick around, folks. The show starts right now. Welcome to Collateral Gaming bonus round. I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And Bo Maddox.
And we are recording straight from somewhere in South Texas. And yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And as mentioned before, this is our post-Halloween edition of the bonus round. So we had a great spooky season talking about many horror video games and movies over on Collateral Cinema. So here's one little extra bonus treat for you, as we've done before in the past. And tonight we're talking about the Resident Evil 1 remake, right, Bo?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it's always a good time to talk about Resident Evil, but it's especially a good time talking about some of the later Resident Evil games, and especially the remakes that came out. And This was the first one that was originally released on GameCube. Then it got a release on Nintendo Wii. Wasn't there a PlayStation 2 release?
I think so. It made its way onto several platforms, including modern ones. So PS3 and PS4,
yes.
Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and even the Nintendo Switch, which was the way that I played this.
And also on Windows. So, I mean, it's also got a PC port.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is really, in my opinion, this is the definitive way to play Resident Evil 1. And that's not something I can necessarily say about some of the other remakes. Like Resident Evil 2, I feel like the original game and the remake are two different experiences that I would recommend most people play both. But I could definitely recommend this as the way to play the Resident Evil 1 story, hands down. Not that there isn't any reason to go back and play RE1 or RE1 Director's Cut, but this is the Resident Evil game I'd probably point people in the direction of first, because it's something that is... honestly, this is the way you should do a video game remake. It is completely authentic, tank controls and all, which are actually optional, which is, the perfect way to do this. Have tank controls for people that want them, or you can remove them for people who don't. I can fuck with the tank controls, but I'll turn them off if there's an option to turn them off.
I just feel like it's not Resident Evil without tank controls, but especially in this game, which really upped the ante on the detail and the environments, and also finding ways to present an entirely new scenario from something that's so classic and so just baked into every gamer's subconscious, which is like how to get through the original Resident Evil mansion. It's like, I mean, it's one of those games kind of like Final Fantasy VII where I could really play that game or the director's cut, and I know it like the back of my hand, Like, I mean, I could get through everything, but this right here, this actually gives you enough of a different path throughout the original gameplay loop that, I mean, it's you're not wrong to call this very much the same kind of game, but it's also so fundamentally different in so many ways. Kind of like how they went a different route with Code Veronica, giving it that more of a real-time 3D rendering with the backgrounds and everything, and more real-time 3D rendering with the character.
Right.
models and everything, but here, this is like the next biggest step forward for Resident Evil as a franchise.
Yeah.
Graphically speaking, as far as gameplay is concerned. I mean, this is really just kind of the best distillation of what Resident Evil is, what it was, and what it can be.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is really because at the end of the day, like you said, it stuck to its guns on so many in so many ways that still makes it familiar to us old school gamers, but it's also kind of fresh. It's something that if you're a newbie, I mean, you're going to get a fresh experience from that, and that'll give you more incentive to go back and actually play the original Resident Evil or Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Right. Well, and see, what this game gets right is that it is so close to the original. Some might say to a fault, but others might say perfectly, because it even maintains the fixed camera angles. And that's something the later Resident Evil remakes don't, is they modernize those games and transform them into new experiences for in a modern context. But this game had the gall to just actually recreate the same experience, but just with better handling and better graphics and an expansion. That's actually what's really impressive about this, is that even the progression through the Spencer Mansion and outside still follows the original to a T. It's just expands on that progression, both terms of puzzles and exploration. So, whereas before you might have gone from point A to point B, now, you'll have stops C and D on the way and maybe possibly a trip back to A before you move on. So it's really actually just kind of giving you more gameplay. I believe this game is actually quite a bit longer than the original, while actually still being a pretty succinct experience. I mean, I remember playing through the Jill route back when we were doing, I think, the Resident Evil 2 episode. I went ahead and I was playing this on the side, and I finished it.
You mean the Director's Cut episode?
Well, we also did that, but I think I initially was playing this while we were doing Resident Evil 2.
Okay, I got you.
As a side game. Right.
Yeah.
And then I also did the Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut episode too. And that was even faster, of course. But I remember this being so good that I just kept playing it, and I finished at least one route. And I think I did Jill on the Resident Evil 1 remake, and then I did Chris on Resident Evil Director's Cut, because I think at one point, I was playing those concurrently too.
Yeah.
Or at least one with close to each other. But anyway, this is a game that really captures you, and it's really good, and it can be damn hard at times. I'm playing through hard right now and actually struggling. I think I played it on medium difficulty before, but I'm playing on hard as Chris. And I think that Chris is while he is tankier, I think his playthrough is a little bit more difficult, because you don't have as much help as Barry provides. I mean, you have Rebecca, but you don't meet her till a little bit later, and she's not as helpful as Barry is at getting you out of some of those early situations. And he also has less inventory space.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the tradition with the Chris playthrough. I mean, you always get a little less in the item department. I mean, you're not able to carry as many items.
Yeah.
And they even get a little more scarce with the items a little bit, especially ammo.
Yeah.
But I mean, in this, they still manage to kind of give you a good little balance between the Jill playthrough and the Chris playthrough to make them kind of fundamentally different experiences altogether this time.
Yeah.
Whereas with the original game, you really had it did branch off in different ways, but I mean, they were very much similar experiences, both the Jill playthrough and the Chris playthrough then. But this time around, it really does feel like you get a really, really different dynamic with each character.
Yeah, you do, and I think that helps. I don't remember exactly the way, like what, for instance, Chris had as his like sub item or something. I don't know if it was still the lighter in the original or not, but in this one it's the lighter, whereas Jill's is the lockpick, and as the one item that they have in their inventory that doesn't take up space. Or did the original Resident Evil 1 even have that? I can't remember.
I don't entirely remember.
I remember
either.
Jill had the lockpick though, and Chris didn't. But in this one, Chris has the lighter, and that's more useful here because of the new mechanic that was added. And this is brilliant. This is a great way to keep you on your toes and add an additional layer of strategy to this that really will, amp up the tension. But zombies that you fight throughout the Spencer Mansion will eventually reanimate and become Crimson Heads, which are faster, stronger zombies that are really a bitch to deal with. And there are only two ways of preventing them from doing this: burning the corpse, which requires kerosene and a lighter, or decapitating them. Which the most effective way of doing that, of course, is grabbing the shotgun, aiming at their head, and pow.
It's cool because it kind of really plays into the old school zombie lore of how you actually dispatch zombies properly. It's either you shoot them through the head and destroy the brain, or you incinerate them.
I'm kind of surprised more Resident Evil games didn't use this mechanic, because it's classic zombie.
It really is. It's classic zombie lore. It's Romero lore even.
Yeah.
And as deeply as the original game was inspired by Romero's zombies, as well as Sweet Home, you would think that they would have had a little more of that. Those elements, you still have like the slow moving zombies. It's like they're still, they're more into eating flesh than brains,
right?
Here, so you have that Romero quality to them. You always had, but here it feels like they actually leaned into it a little further.
Yeah, and with that Crimson Head mechanic, like I mentioned, it really actually forces the player to carefully think about which zombies you're going to dispatch, because in some instances you don't have enough kerosene. There's not enough that's provided for you to actually burn every zombie in the game, and until you get the shotgun, and you're not going to have enough ammo to do this. Even once you do, you're not going to be able to decapitate all of them, and then there's even some luck involved in that. So you have to think about, okay, is it even worth it to kill this zombie, or should I just dodge them? And that's a calculus you make in most Resident Evil games based on scarcity of resources, but it's an additional scarcity. And you can even only carry so much kerosene with you. You can only carry 2 charges, and it takes up an inventory slot. With Chris, at least you don't have to take up an inventory spot with the lighter, but he has less inventory to begin with anyway. So
it just ends up being an extra little problem that you have to kind of think about, and it really makes you think about which zombies are best to burn versus which ones are best to leave alone and deal with later.
Exactly. And, for instance, okay, I'm coming into this room. I'm never going to come back to this room again. I've gotten everything out. So I can kill these zombies and not have to worry about it, because I'm never coming back here. But, okay, here's an area next to a save room, or here's a hallway that I'll go through. So if I can't dodge these zombies, then I need to make sure that I can burn them. And sometimes you have to even place them strategically. Let me kill 2 zombies and so the bodies pile up on top of each other,
and then burn them together.
And
exactly.
You can work efficiently like that. So this game actually really, really encourages that. But that won't even help you in the later parts of the game, where they start replacing zombies with hunters. Those are going to show up no matter what.
And they really superpower the hunters this time around. They were always a really serious threat in Resident Evil, and especially in the original game.
Yeah.
But this time around, it really feels like they made them even like faster, more brutal, and more nasty.
Yeah.
Just to kind of compound the how fucked you are initially in this entire scenario.
Exactly. So yeah, they've added new enemies into the game, and even new story elements. In much the same way that they've expanded the progression in this game, they've also expanded the story. So you have this whole like Lisa Trevor storyline that was introduced that even made its way into the recent Resident Evil movie.
And it's a very tragic tale. It adds this. It really just shows you how brutal and how barbaric Umbrella actually is, because they pretty much just took the Trevor family and just fucked them over and just destroyed them, know?
And Lisa Trevor is a fun enemy too, because she's one of those stalking type enemies that you can't kill.
But you also kind of get a little bit of a feel for her psyche as well.
Yeah.
And you come across her room and everything, and you do find kind of a little journal that she's keeping, and it's this very broken English, but still feels like a child and everything. So it's like you're just like, this is basically this beast that's kind of just in this arrested development, who's just still a child, but I mean, still a threat.
Yeah.
So it's really, really, really sad, and you even find a photograph with the Trevor family together, and
I know
it really compounds the tragedy.
Man, yeah. What a way to elevate the story. And they've done that in a lot of ways. This version of the story is quite a bit more serious than the original. I remember, I mean, we have that classic cheesy intro.
Yeah.
They
exactly.
do their own version of that, and it's definitely a lot more serious. And so,
wow, what a mansion!
What a mansion, yeah. And there's one point of criticism. One thing that the original has over the remake is it doesn't include the Jill sandwich line.
Oh, I know, man. It's like that's a tragedy.
Now
it's
there's
like,
a similar line,
right.
but it's not the same.
No, it's not Jill's sandwich. It's like, no, you got to have the Jill sandwich line.
Seriously,
it's so integral to Barry as a character. I mean, because he's a total dad.
He is.
You know, I mean, that's what he is. He's a dad.
He is a dad. Yeah.
So I mean, in the original game, he really came across that way even more so. You know, even just saying stuff like Chris is our old partner. You know. Or it's like the way he describes the grenade rounds. He's like, it's a powerful weapon. You know, it's like, I mean, he sounds like more of a dad in that version, and it kind of makes you feel a little more sorry for him when you realize that, of course, I mean, this is a 30-year-old game. We all know what happens with Barry. He's forced to betray the protagonist, be it Jill or he does it to Jill, and I think he also does it to Chris.
Do we even encounter him as Chris? Because I think
right. No, it's only in Jill's playthrough.
Because I think Barry is dead in Chris's playthrough.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, I mean, but Barry, he's forced to betray Jill, and it's like, I mean, he's still a good person, and you realize, he's a dad here, but. Yeah. I mean, in the original one, you kind of feel even worse for him because of how hokey he is, and how much of a dad bro he is.
True. But you even have a moment at the end of the game to give him his gun back and allow him to survive. So, as you should, because Barry's a good guy.
No, he's a good guy. He's a family man, and he is the best character from the original movie. The original game, I should say.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, he is. But let's see, what else? I do like that you can reload via the menu or in real time, and that was really nice because in the recent Resident Evil games, you can't do it from the menu anymore. It's only in real time. And in the original game, you have to pause every time you want to reload.
Yeah. So it really it's a really good way to kind of break up that monotony a little bit, and and of course the quick reload helps in a pinch as well.
Exactly, yeah. So in a game like this especially, it actually works. I can kind of see why they removed the ability to reload from the menu in the more recent games, because it takes away from the tension of having to wait to do it.
Yeah.
While the enemies are coming at you. So I can see why they took that away. But in a game like this that perfectly captures the essence of the original, but also adds the convenience of a modern game, I think it's perfect. I feel the same way about the ability to implement or not tank controls. The fact that the fixed camera angles are in place. I mean, yeah, this is a game that is just so authentic and yet elevates the original in almost every way.
And can I really say that it's also interesting how they made some of the newer camera angles, or even reinterpreted some of the original camera angles here? Yeah. It's like it's not so much a bunch of Dutch angles, but it's like it looks a lot more natural, Yeah. And it actually shows the detail of these new backgrounds that they're using a little better. It's really cool.
Right, and even individual locations have been expanded, so there's more to do and more to encounter, tougher enemies to fight, more complex puzzles. But I mean, you still have some of the necessary elements like Itchy Tasty.
Oh yeah, you still have that entire confrontation, and it's like, and I mean, you could still decide to either just open up the closet and just encounter the zombies, or you can go ahead and read just like in the original, read the the journal, and then when you're done, you get attacked by the zombie. You know, you can still do that. And they actually found a way to make it a little more visceral.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, what another scene that is perfect is that original scene where you encounter the first zombie in the game, eating the body of your former comrade. That scene already is so iconic, right?
It really is. I mean, and the original version of the original cinematic there, it was going to be uncut and actually have Kenneth's head drop off the body and have actually it had the zombie drop his head and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean that it was going to be kind of grody like that, and that's originally what was going to be in the director's cut, but for some reason they never uncensored the original opening cinematic for that. So it's kind of cool to see the opening cinematic here kind of give us that grody, gory intro that we were promised in the original.
Yes, and it's so much better. It's like, how do you take such an awesome scene and just make it even better? It looks grotesque and it's scary, and that moment where the zombie comes after you is even more terrifying as a result. So it's perfect, and just like in the original game, you could let Barry handle it for you if you want.
Exactly. and I mean, yeah, you can even just choose not to go into the door and just keep going back to Wesker and reporting to him. And then eventually the zombie will just open up the door and then Barry will take care of him.
Right.
So
I like that, yeah.
Jill, come on! Chris, this way. Make for that mansion! The show must go on. It's not like we're out of this yet.
I think you'd better take a look at this.
What is it?
No.
Chris!
But yeah, what's also cool is that they've done a lot to make sure to keep veterans of the original game on their toes, and so there are not only puzzles that have been expanded, but puzzles that are just done in completely different ways, and doors that can't be unlocked the same way. Like in the original, to make it towards the west or the east hall, you can use a lockpick as Jill. Now you have to get the sword keyed.
Exactly. Yeah. And you get the lockpick, but it doesn't really work on everything. So I mean, it's a little different, but I mean, I think that it adds a little more challenge to the Jill playthrough, which is typically seen like traditionally as the easier playthrough. Even if you would choose a harder setting, it's typically kind of the easier route to take.
It is because, she has the more inventory space and a couple mechanics that I think were intended to make it the route that's accessible to first-time players. So, and that's maintained here in this game, or maybe even doubled down on in somewhat,
Yep.
But yeah, and as far as like the controls and the handling goes, I mean, this is smooth and seamless. It is really, really good.
It really is, man. I mean, yeah, the transitions into the cinematics are nice and clean. And even the in-game cinematics, like the character models are fluid and everything. I would say even more so than in Code Veronica. Even.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. In fact, I would say that, like, for instance, when a zombie grabs onto me, it feels earned. When I die, it feels like, no, I deserve that. I could have been better. So
in Code Veronica, it was a little cheap.
It was a little cheap sometimes. Yeah. And that's definitely the way that I felt. And I also felt that the scarcity of resources was done much better. That's something I brought up in a couple survival horror episodes recently, but this is another game that I would say actually is a pretty perfect balance. It's like you're going to have those moments where it's tense and you don't have enough resources, at least on a first time playthrough, or then you'll always get resources just about when you need them. But you're gonna have those moments sometimes where you are hobbling around a little bit, and it's like, okay, now it's time to explore. If you're playing on harder difficulties, that actually might become a problem, and you might have to spend some time just progressing the hard way.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But even so, it's like it feels earned. It's like, okay, no, I'm doing the hard playthrough, so that's the price I have to pay. And I really feel like the balance between scarcity of resources and in the difficulty in this game was really top tier.
It really was, yeah. And also the way that the puzzles are distributed, and also their difficulty. I mean, it's intuitive. I mean, it's the way that you want puzzles in Resident Evil to be. You don't want it to grind everything to a halt. Yeah. You want it to kind of feel natural. Like for instance, the death mask puzzle. That's very much a fetch puzzle. You have to go and you have to fetch the death masks. You have to fight the snake boss. Yeah. To get one of them as well from its fireplace or from its burrow or whatever it is, and it leads to your first what should be your first encounter with the Crimson Head, right? Because I mean, it has that coffin up there.
You can come across a Crimson Head earlier, though. I have, because I didn't make it through fast enough back to the mirror room.
Okay, I got you.
That's one of those rooms where it might be handy to burn the bodies, because you can't really dodge them in those tight corridors very well.
Yeah.
That's another one where but that's also a really, really effective layout, because you've got those tight corners, and so enemies can ambush you, but there's those mirrors that are placed, so you can also use those to your advantage.
Yeah, you can actually see them, and if you're stealthy enough, you can go through that entire segment without engaging with any of these zombies. So
it's difficult though.
It is.
But yeah, it's definitely possible. So yeah, I like how that this game really encourages you to play tactfully and really consider things. And on top of that, I mean, it just looks gorgeous. Like I mentioned, I was playing the Nintendo Switch version. I played it originally on my Nintendo Switch 1, and I most recently played on my Switch 2. And for a game that is playable on the Switch 1 hardware, yeah, this looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks way better than Code Veronica did in the PS4 version. That's for sure. Mainly because it doesn't have that weird fog.
Yeah.
Mainly. But I mean, yeah, it's like the backgrounds are really crisp, but they definitely have that at what was at the time a more next gen feel, and it's still to this day the biggest graphical jump that Resident Evil has made since between Resi 3 and Code Veronica.
Yeah.
Between Code Veronica and between this, it's like this set the standard for what we would see with some of the later Resident Evil games, especially like Resident Evil 7 and 8.
True.
If you really think about it.
Yeah. You really do. And yeah, I don't know. And a remake that could have leaned more into the action-heavy direction that the franchise had gone up to that point. They could have done that, but they didn't. This was faithful to that survival horror experience, and I'm glad that the Capcom team that worked on this was able to recapture that, that survival horror that honestly had been missing from the franchise for so long,
and then still add to it and make it even creepier, just by kind of turning the Spencer Mansion into an even better, or the Arkley Mansion or whatever it's called, turning it into an even better character in its own right.
Exactly.
It's very brooding, it's very intimidating, it's not as colorful as it was in the original game.
Yeah.
it feels like you're in an actual lived space.
It does, yeah. It really does. And they've even added some, like, I don't remember if in the original, was there still that door that you could only go through so many times before the doorknob broke, or was that new to this one?
I think that maybe there was a couple of doors like that in the original Resi.
But I'm sure there's more of them here, if anything.
Yeah.
But that was cool. Like, yeah, there's so many ways that the Spencer Mansion is honestly like one of the best locations from the series. I think actually it is the best. As far as settings go, Resident Evil 1 and its remake have the best settings in the franchise, just because the Spencer Mansion and its grounds are really, really fucking cool. And even down, once you get to the Arclay Laboratory and whatnot, it's such a cool setting. And I think the enemies also match the environment so well. I mean, getting to the residence and seeing the giant spiders and shit, and that's after you've already encountered the giant snake in the mansion.
Yep, I mean, which are pretty much staples of Resident Evil. I mean, you got to have a giant spider, you got to have a giant snake, man,
and then you get
or some other type of giant creature.
Yeah, and then you get to the water area, and then you have to watch out for the fucking sharks. Ginormous fucking sharks. I mean,
which are a little more imposing than they were in the original. In the original, I mean, it was pretty easy to outmaneuver them, but here it's like they're actually a little quicker.
Yeah,
it's like they will absolutely creep up on you, and they will get you really quickly.
For real. But yeah, it's a tough game. It's even tougher than the original game is, and that is impressive given the fact that the original, well, they're difficult in different ways, but
yeah.
But the original being a difficult game due in part to the hardware, because older games just tend to be more challenging than newer ones. This one managed to actually increase the difficulty in some ways, and in ways that feel earned. A lot of times, difficulty kind of just feels like it's like we mentioned earlier when we talked about Code Veronica in particular. But sometimes whenever you get caught by that zombie or you die or something happens, it doesn't feel earned. It feels like, okay, this was just because the controls are a little jank because I'm playing on an older game. But no, here it's like, okay, no, it's get good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, very, very impressive for a remake that came out in 2002. I mean, I know it's seen some revisions and remasters up to the release that's on current consoles, I'm sure, but it's still this feels really, really good.
It really does. I mean, so many standards were set by this the release of this game, and I really love how it's kind of it kind of brought Resident Evil into the true modern era.
Exactly. I think this was kind of the game that brought it into the modern era.
It is the very first truly modern Resident Evil game. I mean, whereas Code Veronica kind of still feels like a real throwback.
Yeah.
This feels like a real step forward.
It does. Yeah. And I think it shows Capcom actually kind of taking the series seriously again. And that was a welcome change of pace. And it's a game that's very much relevant to the point that I don't think, I mean, I know that there's been some whispers, some people are thinking that, at some point Capcom's going to do a remake and kind of do a remake of this storyline, but in the style of the other remake games like 2, 3, and 4. But I really don't even feel like that's necessary. I think that this experience, just remaster it and make it look even prettier, 4K, 60 frames per second and whatnot. That's all I would ask, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, you should just go ahead and make another light gun game.
Just do a Resident Evil Survivor remake.
That would be amazing, honestly.
I mean, if they made it good.
Yeah.
Why don't we see that more often? Like taking shitty games and remaking them. Nobody does that because I think it's a ballsy move.
It really is, man. And Survivor, I mean, you could make that into a compelling story. It just, I mean, you have to have better
performances,
better gameplay, better everything.
But we saw how all of that made Resident Evil 1 a better experience.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
But I will say that I like I mentioned before, the original game is still worth playing because it does have a completely different aesthetic, and it does have that cheese factor. But if I were recommending a game to a newcomer, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say play this. I think this is honestly the perfect entry point.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, unless obviously you're a fan of older games and you just missed out on Resident Evil or something. But and like I said, if you're gonna play one experience, I would say play the remake. You know, because it's objectively better in almost every way. Whereas, like I mentioned, like the Resident Evil 2 remake, I can't necessarily say that. I think that they're completely different experiences that ideally you should both experience. But this one, you can play the Resident Evil 1 remake, and it's pretty close to what the original game was. That, you know, you don't necessarily have to play the original, but you can if you want to, and you should.
It does follow many of the same beats and many of the same story decisions. It's just kind of laid out in a different way to where you kind of come to that the conclusion of the story in a different way than before.
And like I mentioned, they did switch things up and subvert some puzzles and whatnot just to keep players on their toes.
Yes.
You know, that way, no matter who you were, there's a surprise in store for you, which there should be in a survival horror game.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, I think this game delivers in nearly every way on, you know, what a survival horror game should be, what a video game remake should be.
Yep.
But I guess we'll go ahead and get into our final thoughts here then, unless you had any other points.
No, final thoughts are fine here. This is a really, really interesting way that Capcom found to basically keep Resident Evil relevant.
Yes.
You know, into the newer, more modern era of gaming. Because this came out on the GameCube. You know, it was, you know, not really fully HD, but I mean, it still utilized the hardware well. And then when we finally got to a more HD era with the Wii, we actually started to get a better, more high fidelity visuals on this game, and it just looked even better. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it really is just a better game than the original Resident Evil.
Yeah.
You have to play the original, especially the director's cut, if you want to like get a feel for what old school Resident Evil is,
right,
and everything. But this right here, this is the best distillation of what a Resident Evil game should be.
Yes.
You know, and what it should be in a modern sense. You know, up until we get to the first-person games with 7 and 8 and everything. Right. But even with 9, it looks like they're going to be kind of allowing for third-person views and everything. They've allowed for it in the other games as well, you know. But, I mean, it was a really great to come back to this game and to experience it all over again. Even being a little surprised by some of the way that it deviates from the original game and everything.
Exactly.
But still adds to it, though. So,
right.
So, I mean, it's still available to play if you have a Switch or a Switch 2. You should definitely check it out. I mean, it's not on PlayStation Plus, is it? I don't think there's an adaptation for. I think it's on PS4 actually.
Yeah. Let me see.
Actually, no. It says right here. Yeah, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So.
Playable on just about any modern console.
So yeah, I mean, it's very accessible. It's totally playable. I mean, and it just looks a lot better than Code Veronica.
It does.
You know, honestly, I just hate to say it. Code Veronica is a good, challenging Resident Evil game, but this right here is just the best of everything that makes Resident Evil great.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, Bo, I definitely agree with you there. And this is like literally the textbook way that this should be the textbook definition of how to take a classic game and perfectly translate it into a modern context, without even changing the core of what the game is. You know, just actually literally taking the experience, everything, the distillation of early Resident Evil, and making it accessible to modern gamers. You know, because like I said, I mean, you still have the conventions like the pre-rendered backgrounds and fixed camera angles, but and even tank controls if you so wish, but you've also added just so many different things. I mean, we didn't even talk about like the sub weapons. That's a new mechanic that's added that did did actually make its way into the other remakes. They sort of evolved that mechanic a little further. But yeah, like Jill and Chris can hold on to like daggers or smoke grenades or tasers, batteries, I think.
Yeah, even a little bomb that you can shoot, that you could plant on, like a sticky bomb you could plant on the zombie, and you could shoot it and blow them up.
You can blow their heads off, which is useful for
really cool.
Not resurrecting as Crimson Heads.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even with that mechanic and just how much thought was put into like how can we take this experience and elevate it, and that's what they did. And I could recommend this to any survival horror fan. I can recommend this to anybody that's looking to get into the Resident Evil franchise, especially. This is a great entry point, like I mentioned before. This is probably where you should start.
It really is. Yeah.
But
certainly.
All right, Bo, what is going on Collateral Cinema?
As of now, we should have all of our spooky content out for October, our Dead Alive and Evil Dead episodes, as well as our Halloween Curse of Michael Myers review, and our review of the brand new 2023 by way of 2025 Toxic Avenger movie.
Fuck yeah.
So, yeah, you should check that out. And here in November, we're going to have The Amazing Spider-Man and also Lara Croft Tomb Raider. So, yeah, check that out.
Fuck yeah. As for Collateral Gaming, we do have out our episode on Chronos the New Dawn, as well as our Halloween special on Resident Evil Code Veronica, which we definitely talked about a little bit during this episode. But also stay tuned for Silent Hill F. That's the last bit of our spooky content to come out. It'll be out within early November, so a little late, but we are getting to it, and then we can get into our planned November content, which is Ghost of Yote. So we'll do a 2-part episode where part 1 will be spoiler free and part 2 will be full spoilers, and I'm really excited to get into that because Ghost of Yote is one of my most anticipated games this year, and I haven't even gotten the chance to really dive into it yet, so I'm excited for that. We'll also have another bonus round episode out this month. Hopefully, Megan and I went to do a game recommendations, and Bo, obviously, you should join us for that as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, that's what's coming out on Collateral Gaming. And also check out our Halloween special for Collateral Let's Play, where we play through Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You can check that out on both of our YouTube channels. We'll also have a new Phoenix Wright Wednesday out this week. So go check that out and stay tuned for more Let's Play content. And here very soon, we'll probably go ahead and do some kind of patron content as well, I think. I know that we did play through The Wind Waker for our anniversary special, and that is a game that I would like to play more of, but if I want to continue it, I'd actually continue it on the Wii U version.
There we go. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Which gives me an excuse to actually bust out my Wii U for once.
There we go. Yeah. I've seen that around at your pad before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hell yeah.
But so stay tuned for all of that. If you want to support the show, like I mentioned, we do have the Patreon, but we also do have a merch store on Dashery and a Buy Me a Coffee. You can follow Collateral Gaming and Cinema on various social media platforms such as Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and even Reddit. We use those to varying degrees, but you can check us out there. We have a shitposting / media news group called Collateral Media on Facebook as well. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Anything else to add, Bo?
No, I don't believe so.
All right. I think we got everything out. So, with all that being said, I've been an Ashley Sandwich.
And I am Bory.
This was Collateral Gaming bonus round. We are out.
Out.
Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media Podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.